What's up, guys? This is Geoff Ulrich for LineMovement.com, bringing you your weekly PGA betting preview for the week of the American Express Championship, the third event of 2021. And in this video, we're going to dip into things like the course preview, talk about the players that are here, talk about the event, give you all the info, and then, of course, we'll get into my favorite betting picks for the week, try and set you up with some good outright picks, possibly to hit a big odds winner here. We'll see. Right into this video though, because this is an interesting event. We have the American Express. It's generally, most years it's a pro-am, but this year there's no amateurs, obviously with the COVID-19 situation. So instead of 3 courses in play, there's only going to be 2. TPC Stadium, a Pete Dye designed course, that's still going to be the host course. Now TPC Stadium comes in around 7,100 yards. It plays really short for a par 72 course. It's got Bermuda greens, it's got water in play on 7 holes, and it's very similar in style to TPC Sawgrass, where the Players is held every year. It's got the same designer, it's got the same kind of outlook as well. It's even got an island green on 17, which is again kind of like sister hole to the famous island green at TPC Sawgrass. So Pete Dye designed course. Players who've had good history at Pete Dye designed courses, definitely could be emphasized a little bit more here. And then the other course that's going to be in play this week, the Nicklaus Tournament venue, it's another shorter par 72, a little bit similar in style, obviously a bit different designer with Jack Nicklaus being involved, but there's a little bit of water involved. It's a shorter par 72. The short par 5s this week are going to be eaten up by the Players. You're going to see lots of birdies, lots of eagle opportunities as well. This is really an event where you emphasize strokes gain approach, you emphasize strokes gain putting, and you go from there. What these guys do off the tee isn't going to be as big a factor. Sure, distance is still going to matter, but this is not a long course. It's more of an accuracy-driven style event, and guys who get hot with the putter, you'll see them go low here. Typically, too, the winners here always reach 20 under par or better. And even with only 2 courses involved here, I still think that'll be the case. So weather setting up maybe a little bit cooler, tiny bit of wind, looking like Friday afternoon, but I think the conditions will be good enough that you'll still see a bit of a birdie fest this week. So let's talk about a few betting trends too, just before we get into the players. 10 of the last 11 winners at the American Express played in Hawaii at least one of the 2 weeks before, so either at the Tournament of Champions or the Sony Open. So we have a lot of players who are opening up their season in Hawaii, then coming over to the American Express and winning. I think that's significant, something to key in on. And then 7 of the 8 winners, last 8 winners of the American Express had played here in 1 year prior. So we have players coming in here with experience playing in the event. Now, this year might be a little bit different. There's no amateurs involved. So maybe players you've seen not do so well in the Pro-Am format, they might pop up here with a good week. Something to think about anyways. Let's just talk about a couple of the top players that are going to be here, because we actually do have a fairly strong field for this event. Often we see a lot of the top players skip this event. Some of them maybe don't like the Pro-Am format so much, but there's no amateurs involved this year. So we have names like Patrick Cantlay is here. Jon Rahm is here. Jon Rahm won this event back in 2018 as well. We also have Brooks Koepka making an appearance here, which is pretty significant. Obviously, Koepka, coming off a terrible season, wants to get his season started a little bit early. That's something to keep an eye on. I'm not necessarily interested in betting any of these top players, just because their odds are so short, and we do have 2 courses in play, a bit of a birdie fest. We've typically seen long odds winners kind of come out of nowhere to win this event. So this isn't really an event I want to key in on any of the really short players and odds, but guys like Cantlay, Rahm, Finau, Patrick Reed is also here, and Brooks Koepka. All these guys are certainly capable of winning an event like this, but for odds, I think there's a bit better value out there this week. Let's get right into the favorite bets part. Now, this is obviously the part where everyone's showing up. Like, just give me the bets, right? So there are some players here with a little bit shorter odds I am interested in. And the guy I kind of settled on is going to be Scottie Scheffler at plus 2,300. I bandied around a couple names with Scheffler. Matt Wolff is in this range as well. I really like taking Matt Wolff this week. But Matt Wolff also didn't play in Hawaii. And I feel like I like Matt Wolff a little bit better next week at Torrey Pines. So I'm going to stay off him. I'm going to go with Scheffler at plus 2,300. This is a player who I think is really ready to win. He's coming off a big 2020, top 5 at the Tour Championship, top 5 at the PGA Championship. There's a ton of potential here with Scottie Scheffler, 2-time Korn Ferry Tour winner. He did play in Hawaii. He played at the Tournament of Champions. He was top 15, which is fine in a field of 42, shook off some rust. And last year he came to this event, finished inside the top 5 as well, shot a 66, a bogey-free 66 in round 3 on the TPC Stadium course. I like the all-around game here. I like that Scheffler's done well in these low-scoring events too since he's been on tour. I just think this is a player ready to win. And I think this is a pretty good spot for him to potentially challenge. So plus 2,300, I'll take a little bit of Scottie Scheffler on an outright. Next player I want to target here is definitely going to be Russell Henley, plus 4,500. I think these odds are almost a little bit disrespectful in an event like this to Russell Henley. Sure, he hasn't won for a bit, but this is a player who's been competing. He was in the mix again last week. Just couldn't get the putter firing in round 4. He probably would have been up there in the top 3 as well. And I think his odds would have been a lot shorter as well if he had finished inside the top 5. I think plus 4,500 for a player who's leading this field in strokes gained approach stats over the last 50 rounds at a venue like TPC Stadium. Too good to ignore here. No amateurs. Henley tends to be a bit of a fast player. I think that's a good advantage for him too. So give me Russ Henley on an each way at plus 4,500. Next player I want to target. And I targeted him last week and it didn't work out. We're going back to the well though. I'm going to take one more dip in the Zach Johnson well at plus 6,000. Zach Johnson, not a player I typically target, but I really feel like this is a veteran guy who's pushing for a late season career win right now. He's trending very well with his approaches as well. Gained plus three strokes on his approaches last week at the Sony Open. He only finished T61 there, but it was a pretty strong ball striking week for Zach. He just didn't have a good week putting. He was T20 at this event in 2018, excuse me. And realistically, this American Express event, we've seen veteran players pop up here. Phil Mickelson almost won here a couple years ago at the age of 48. So I think this is a track where a veteran like Zach Johnson can get on track. And I think he's playing a little bit better than people realize. I'll take the plus 6,000 on each way for Zach Johnson too. Then I'm gonna end with 3 players at longer odds that I think are good top 10, top 5, or even outright or each way bets. The first one's gonna be Doc Redmond at plus 9,000 or better. This is just way too big for a 23-year-old who's just proven that he can compete. His last 8 events, he's got 3 top 5s. He challenged at the Windham, challenged at the Safeway Open, and nearly won in Bermuda as well. I like this setup for him. He's accuracy driven, got great approaches, 8th in strokes gained approaches in this field over the last 50 rounds. I like taking Doc Redmond for an each way. I also like taking Windham Clark here. I'm not as confident in Windham Clark, but this is a player who's just got really high end with his putter. He was top 20 here last year. He didn't even gain strokes on his approaches, but he still ended up top 20. He played really well to end 2020 as well. Another young player I think is on the cusp of winning probably sometime soon. And it'll probably come at a lower scoring event like this. He also challenged at the Shriners, another low scoring event. So I like Windham Clark a plus 1,000 or better. If you can get triple digits, 100 to 1 or better, that's great for an each way in my opinion. And my last player I'm going to mention this week, a bit of a dark horse, a bit of a long shot, Danny Lee. At plus 250 or better, plus 25,000 or better, excuse me, 250 to 1 or better. I don't mind throwing an each way on Danny Lee here. He actually struck the ball okay at the Sony Open last week. Yeah, he didn't play well. He missed the cut, but realistically, he got that one event that we like to see in, and we've seen big odds players win here. Andrew Landry won here at 500 to 1 last year. Adam Long won here the year before at around similar odds. These guys were coming in off of massive missed cuts as well. Andrew Landry 5 missed cuts in a row before he won. I think Danny Lee could pull something similar. I'm not suggesting he is, but at plus 250 to 1, we really don't have to invest much to find out. Targeting kind of a top 5 or a top 10 bet on Danny Lee. I don't mind that this week too. Has played well in the desert before. So those are going to round out my bets, guys. Like I said, I like Scheffler, Henley, and Zach Johnson kind of at the top. And then for long shots, I definitely like Redmond, definitely like Windham Clark. And Danny Lee just as a kind of a bomb pick, we'll throw in there as well. If you like this video, guys, definitely click on the next video that's going to come up on your screen for the linemovement.com channel. Smash that like button for me if you could, and we'll talk to you again next week.